We're now going to move on to our annual general meeting. This is the formal part of our conference. We are required to do this every year. We're going to whiz through this. We're going to get acceptance of last year's minutes. Then we're going to briefly hear a bit of a report about what we've been doing in the last financial year, rather than a year ago from now exactly. And then we're going to announce the results of the trustee election. So the minutes of the AGM 2021, these have been online on our website for a number of months now. Are there any corrections or objections to those? If not, those minutes will be considered as approved. No, lovely. Okay, those minutes are duly accepted. Okay, so we're now going to move into a section of our annual report, and each of the three trustees are going to talk briefly about the sections that they are responsible for. So over to Katie, who is our chair and leads on the services and information side of things.
Okay, hello everyone. So one of our main services is answering questions from our members on a variety of topics. Over this report period, we've had 8 medical type inquiries covering quite a wide range of questions, such as information about cataracts, cornea disease, genetic testing, and so on. We've had 2 requests to assist people with applying for personal independence payments, which is a benefit that visually impaired adults can apply for. We've had 9 requests for our parent information pack, which is sent out to parents who are newly joining Aniridia Network. We had 7 requests to use our befriending service, which actually resulted in 15 befriending relationships. And lastly, we had 10 requests for help with education support. And if we move on to our conference and events, our AGM last year was held online as part of the European Aniridia Conference, which we hosted. The AGM included a talk by Georgina Clements about her life with Aniridia, which was extremely interesting. I would recommend you go back and watch that if you haven't seen it. We also passed on all the resources, infrastructure, and some money that we'd been raised towards the European Aniridia Conference. We basically passed on all that useful stuff to the next hosts for the 6th conference. And as always, we participated in Aniridia Day on the 21st of June and to the Buzz About Rare Disease Day on social media. So a little bit more about the 5th European Aniridia Conference itself. This was a 2-day event held online because of the COVID pandemic. It was extremely successful. It's considered to be cutting edge and very high quality and very informative. So we got a lot of positive feedback. We had 45 speakers in total over 43 different sessions. In total, we had 353 attendees, and 58% of those were people affected by Aniridia. So that means either people with Aniridia themselves or their relatives. And then out of the remaining fraction, 17% were researchers, 16% ophthalmologists, 6% academics, and 6% geneticists. So we reached quite a number of different professionals connected with Aniridia as well. And 36% of the attendees are from the UK. 70% of people attended rated it as very good and would recommend it to others, which is good news. And as well as the main conference, we also had the opportunity for 10 patients or their parents to have a 25-minute video clinic with consultants at Moorfields Eye Hospital. And overall, this cost us about £10,000 to put on, but we were very lucky to obtain funding to cover that from the European Joint Programme on Rare Diseases. So now I'm going to hand over to my colleague Andy, who's going to speak about finance and fundraising.
Thank you, Katie. So hi everyone, I'm going to spend the next couple of minutes talking about Aniridia Network's finances. Annual accounts, which I'll talk through now, have been reviewed by and passed by an independent examiner this year. As you may be able to see on screen now, our bank balance grew slightly over the year, so at year end we had cash funds of just more than £50,000. In the year, we spent just less than £20,000 and received income of just more than £22,000. So about 80% of our expenditure was related to the European Aniridia Conference last year, with us passing some £1,900 back to the European grant funders and transferring almost £3,500 to Anaridia Spain, who are hosting the next Anaridia Europe conference. Our income for the year was just more than £22,000. 13,400 of this came from European grant funders for the European Anaridia conference last year. The vast majority of the remaining £8,600 came from donations via various sources. We're of course extremely grateful to everyone who donated to the charity over the last year, regularly or otherwise. We don't typically get funding from government or anything like that, so donations are important to enable us to do the things that we do. Some of our income comes from certain websites, such as Amazon. If you don't currently use Amazon Smile, whereby your purchases result in Amazon donating to us, please do that. We'd particularly like to highlight a number of fantastic fundraisers over the last year. These include the Todd brothers, who did a triathlon, the Tidworth Garrison Golf Club competition, a second-hand clothes sale, Trisha climbed Snowdon, Laura did a walk, and Zenovia's school had a sunglasses day. Thank you very, very much to everybody involved. I'll hand back to you now, James.
So communications and membership is my section. So as you hopefully seen over the past few months, we've had a kind of overhaul of how we enroll members, and we have split people up into 3 categories of junior members, members and supporters, where members are essentially adults with Anaridia generally, who are therefore entitled to vote in our elections. So we've now got a clear idea of how many people we have in each of these categories. So we have 154 junior members, 491 members and 195 supporters, which is fantastic. Approximately 24 people joined in Lions financial year, but a similar number of people we needed to delete their details, basically because we couldn't get in touch with them anymore, or we didn't sort of have contact details for them, that kind of thing. We have a number of channels, which I hope you're following. These have continued to grow in terms of number of followers and usage, particularly on social media and YouTube. We are also increasingly making use of Instagram as well. We send out our email newsletters and our blogs. Quite a few people open, around sort of 60% of people open our newsletters, but very few people seem to click through to get more details. If you have any feedback on why that might be, we'd love to hear more from you. So in general, our email newsletters go through to our blog posts, where you can kind of get more details about the kind of stuff that we're up to. We're also excited that we found a new way to send things out by post, which otherwise is a very laborious process of stuffing envelopes and printing and all that kind of thing, adding addresses. We have now actually found a kind of online hybrid way of doing that. So that's made things a bit easier when we have wanted to send things out by post and to reach people also who don't use online services for various reasons. And we want to avoid excluding them. Volunteering them. We really need some more volunteers. There aren't enough people to run this organisation. So if you do have any skills that could be useful for us, and we'll come back to this in a sec, anything around finance, volunteer management in particular, human resources, fundraising, that kind of stuff, we'd love to hear from you. We'd love to have more people involved. I'd like to give some particular thanks to the people who have been involved as volunteers over the past year. I'm going to pick out here Clive Matthews, who's our education advisor, Emily Nash, who helps with fundraising, and Lynn Buller, who helps with our befriending scheme in particular, and that also helps with education advice. We've mentioned the European Anaridia Conference, and this has been said before at the end of that, but yeah, just wanted to flash up this slide to thank all the people who made the incredible European Anaridia Conference possible. Lots and lots of people, both professional doctors, researchers, and lay volunteers as well. So thank you hugely to everyone who made that on behalf of everyone across the world, not just Europe and in the UK. So last year we started doing a award scheme. We wanted to highlight some particularly amazing people by giving them some recognition of the work that they have done for us as volunteers. And so this year we have selected 4 people. The first 2 as Volunteer of the Year awards. The first one goes to Nikki Hall, who is a doctor, a registrar interested in ophthalmology and Anaridia, partly prompted by a relative of hers that has Anaridia. So she in particular put a lot of effort at very short notice into writing the funding bid that helped us pay for the European Anaridia Conference. We originally asked for 30,000 euros, and so you made a massive contribution to the technical and kind of medical side of that, proofreading and so on. And then when we actually got that money and were actually organising the event, she did huge amounts in terms of chasing down and contacting all the various doctors and researchers that we wanted to take part, getting all their contact details, consent, making sure they knew when they were on and all this kind of stuff. So huge thanks to Nikki for doing that. And secondly, Glenn Turner. He is our communications guru. He handles all the social media channels. He does loads of YouTube videos. If you don't follow him on YouTube, or his blog for that matter, do go and follow him at Well I Never. And so he's been amazing in terms of doing posts on Twitter and Facebook and so on. And as I say, chopping up all the recordings from conferences like today into short videos that then appear on YouTube, and doing all the captionings for it as well. So huge amounts of effort from Glenn there. And it's also really great for both these people as well to know that when we ask them to do something, give them a task, we can be really assured it's going to be top quality and they'll just get on and do it. It's so reassuring to be able to do that. So both these people will be getting £20 shopping vouchers of a type of their choice. And I'm going to hand over now to the next category to the person who won the Outstanding Contribution Award last year, who is Lynn Buller.
Hello. We have two people who are outstanding contributors this year. Dave McKay, and he has it for diligently organising conferences from 2018 to 2021, including the 6th European Aniridia Conference and more. All the conferences have been engaging, educational and community building. These were huge tasks, and Dave's efficiency and tenacity came to the fore, and especially his use of walkie-talkies that kept us all in line. His attention to detail and good humour ensured that all our conferences have been really successful. So we really thank you, Dave, for all the input that you've put in. And then Keith Spink for managing and developing the charity's vital Salesforce database of contacts since 2011. I first met Keith back in 2012 when I became the Befriending and Education Officer. He came to show me how to access the intricacies of Salesforce. I had no idea where to start with it, but he was amazing. He spent a whole evening here talking me through it. I have to say that without Salesforce and the input from Keith, I couldn't do my work as education or befriending, because it just has everything that I need. It's a wonderful resource for all of us in Aniridia Network, and a big thanks for him. So congratulations to both of you. You will also receive a voucher. And my advice to you is find somewhere really good to put your certificate up. Mine's in the downstairs loo, so I see it daily and it always puts a smile on my face.
Excellent. Thank you, Lynn. Thank you. So we hope that you might like to join these ranks of people getting rewarded next year. So please do get in touch if you'd like to do that.
So I'm just going to mention the trustee board now. We'd really like to thank our trustees for their work over this year. We have Katie Atkinson, James Buller, Eleanor Burke, who stood down in June 2021, Dave McKay, who stood down in September 2021, and Andy Baghurst. Now, Andy was co-opted in September 21 because after Eleanor and Dave stood down, we didn't have enough trustees that the law requires. So he was co-opted onto the trustee board, and he's already made himself very, very useful to all of us. So thank you, Andy, for that. But I also want to say thank you to all our trustees, because without them and the enormous amount of work that they put in, and I do know it's enormous amount of work that they do, Aniridia Network would not exist. And I know from my befriending activities how much people really appreciate what Aniridia Network does and the information that they get from it. So I really want to say a really big thank you to all the trustees, because without you, there would be no Aniridia Network and the world would be a sadder place for all of us. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Right, the final part of our annual general meeting is the trustee elections. So as has just been said, Andy was co-opted last year, and we have been running a vote online to see if you would like to appoint him for a further term. His biography is on screen now and has been on the voting website as well. So we used a new system this year called choice voting, which is a lot lower cost than the one that we used previously, and it worked well. However, it does seem the participation was not great. Out of 492 voters, there were 18 votes cast, which is a participation rate of just 3.7%. Again, any ideas on how to improve that would be very welcome. I'm delighted to say that Andy has been successfully elected with 17 votes in favour and 1 for reopen nominations. So congratulations, Andy. I'm afraid you're stuck with us for another few years.
Thank you.
So thank you everyone who participated in that.